Good evening, everyone. Most of my videos will be made during the evening before I go to sleep. This though to work and to other things I'm doing, even though I'm working part-time, I prefer to make videos at night because then I have all the time to make the explanations that I want to make before I go to sleep. I haven't made many videos lately. Forgive me for that. I won't stop teaching because that's the anointing that's upon my life, and I want to please the Most High with it, so okay. I want to talk with you about selfhood. I'm going to keep it very brief, so I'm going to give as much information as possible in this video. If I need to make a longer video explaining it with more illustrations, I'll do it for you. But try I'll read your messages if you have any questions. But above that, do your own research because I appreciate it when you do your own research also. Okay, selfhood. What is a self? A lot of people refer to the I and the me. I don't like him, or I like you, or I'm in love with you, or that's mine. The me. We often refer to the me and the I. The thing is, the I and the me, or let me say the self, we often, let me say most of the time, 99.9% of the time, we don't question the self. And the thing is, folks, the self is a fiction. It's not real. The self is a fiction that's developed by denied pain. There is pain, there's a threat, and the mind generates an emotional wall to prevent the pain from overwhelming the heart. The heart is your emotional center. And as a consequence, you identify with that wall. It's a one-side boundary. You identify with that imaginary boundary. And as a consequence, because you identify with that boundary, you are seeking validation for that boundary. Quick example, let's say you are a 4-year-old or 3-year-old and you were basically happily singing and suddenly someone came around and began to scream at you and make you feel threatened to make you stop singing because they want you to be quiet. What happens now is that there is danger. The amygdala, that part of your brain, um, recognizes danger. Also, your mind realizes there's harm here. And as a small kid, you learn, okay, I better be quiet now or else something might happen. What happens now, next time you feel the urge to sing, you might decide, oh, okay, I don't want to sing. And you may grow up, maybe you have a beautiful voice to sing, but you're very shy with singing. Why? Because there was a one-side boundary generated during the time you were 3-year-old, and you identify with that one-side boundary without you being aware of it, and you're not even aware that there's a one-side boundary, but you have an identification. You develop a personality, someone that does not like singing, and you think that's you, but it's not you. So the self is a fiction that's based on denied pain, and every self is I'm say a cohesion of compulsive behaviors. A compulsion is when you are triggered to do something by an external threat, but you're not aware of the external threat. You're just aware of you doing it, whatever it is. And a compulsion is therefore an addiction, something you're stuck with. And you're unconscious of the compulsion, therefore also unconscious of the addiction, because you're identifying with that self. And the thing is, the self is a fiction founded, as I mentioned before, on denied pain. So the pain is there. As I mentioned before, you will begin to look for validation of that one-side boundary. And not all compulsions are developed in childhood. Some are developed later on. This all part of the self. But the self is a fiction. But you want validation for that self because you think that the self is you. So now you begin to look for validation partners. That's what the world calls friends, people to validate the self. And the way you receive validations with distractions, with trauma or something else to distract you. And communities have a collective distraction for all members of that community that's called society. Society is a collective denial of the night pain within the members of that community. And I think, and I want to go further. Imagine a young elephant who was captured since he was a baby. That baby elephant was chained and beaten when he tried to escape. He had the chain at one of the legs, and that's why he couldn't escape. So after a while, the baby elephant, was tired and also traumatized. So the baby elephant decided, I'm not doing this anymore. The baby elephant grew and matured as an adult elephant. As an adult elephant, he was now being used in a circus to entertain visitors, and the captors were earning money at the expense of that animal. But now, why is the animal putting up with this? The animal has a mental is in a mental prison with emotional bars. That's why the animal is not killing the captors and just running out wealth, because that elephant now has the full potential to kill anyone that tries to imprison him. But the animal is unconscious. That's why the animal doesn't realize that fact. Look, in English, you have um, you have this saying called the elephant in the room. It refers to an issue. Oh no, before I continue, imagine you enter a room and there's a gigantic elephant in there, like a mammoth. You cannot enter that room and not be impacted by the presence of that animal. It's going to have physical, mental, and emotional consequences in you being in a room with such an animal in it. Now, the elephant in the room is figuratively, it's not literal. When English people say talk about the elephant in the room, they talk about an issue that they don't want to deal with. They know the issue's there, they can sense it, they see the consequence, but they don't want to deal with it. And what is the elephant in the room? Self. The self is the elephant in the room. Why? Because the self is a fiction based on denied pain. But because there are so many distractions, both by society and by local groups. By the way, that's the reason why people are lured into cults by the distractions. Because of that, people won't have to deal with the denied pain. Because the pain has developed over time. The pain has grown. As the pain grew, sorry for my English, the pain grew over time. So if the individual now becomes aware of the denied pain, he or she will be overwhelmed by the pain. Before, when he or she was unconscious, she just didn't know there was any pain, and he had all these distractions to distract them. or they may have had outlets for the toxic energy of that pain. But now, when they become conscious, the pain is going to overtake them. It can either turn inwards as depression, which often leads to suicidal tendencies, or it will be, or it will be, say, displaced up on the outside, and it will develop into racism, sexism. It will develop into um, physical violence, crime, homicide, and those kind of things. And truth being told, you don't know how someone will become when once they are conscious. As long as they're identifying with a self and there are regulations to regulate their compulsions, they will behave and perform pleasantly. And people can get along with one another. Once the denied pain comes into the picture, nobody knows how it will end. Because most of the time it doesn't end well. And here's the thing, unconsciousness, being unconscious is what is called darkness. In darkness, you're not aware of the pain, the denied pain. You're not aware of the compulsions. You're blinded. Once light enters in, the darkness is exposed for what it is. And now you'll have to deal with things you maybe don't want to deal with, or now you're going to ask questions, because it's not just about you. It Because when you're unconscious, you're dealing with other people who are also unconscious and you don't notice things. But once you become conscious, now you're going to notice things about other people. Now you're going to ask questions that are going to have ugly answers. And now you have to deal with that. You don't want it. But now it's going to affect you. And now you're going to look at yourself. Now you're going to notice things also. And the thing is, most people prefer being unconscious. Because being conscious requires responsibility and accountability. And sooner or later you'll find out that you can't do it on your own, that you need the Most High. And that's the place where most people don't want to end up, acknowledging that they need the Most High. That's why they hate the gospel, they hate the Bible, they hate people that are believers. Why? Because believers are the light of the world, and the light exposes the darkness, the unconsciousness. Because within unconsciousness, there's a lot of denied pain with all kinds of compulsions. And the only thing the world has are patterns and cycles to regulate all the addictions and all the compulsions. And from time to time, they will put someone in jail, or they will use scapegoats or to release the community from the toxic energy that comes from all the denied pain. And in ancient times, not only ancient times, there's still places where they do it. Human sacrifice was the established institution to release the community from from the toxic energies that are the result of their darkness. People didn't need to repent, change their mind, and accept discomfort and pain. They could just get along, move on, and from time to time, you had those people being sacrificed. Everyone would charge all their hatred onto them, and because they were exhausted by the charging of the hatred outwards, they were so exhausted that they had no desire and no interest in being negative. So they sought relief. And in that relief, you had those soul ties develop, those connections that we call the nation. So the nation is based on human sacrifice. And society is a distraction to keep people in the dark of the killing power that they've assigned to, that killed members of their own group. Well, that's what the self is. It's a fiction. And there's a lot connected to that fiction. And most of the time, people think that they know who they are. But the thing is, they're not who they think they are. Because who they are is based on the information they received from the outside. Information they internalized based on a one-side boundary that they're not even aware that boundary exists. And they have no other concept or information than what's inside that one-side boundary. So they're in a box and they're thinking inside the box. So they can only identify themselves and others through that box. So they're not free. They're unconscious. They're in darkness. And the thing is, people prefer others being in darkness, being unconscious. Let me just give an example. Let's say you have some Billy. I'm just making up a fictive character to explain something. Let's say you have Billy. Billy was emotionally and physically abused by his peers while growing up and during his teenage years. And most people permitted it because they didn't like his parents. Now, Billy is a very disturbed, has turned into a very disturbed individual with all kinds of compulsive behaviors because the pain is driving him, but he does not realize it. So what happens now? Society now has a bar where he can go and drink and become drunk. They also have the prostitutes in the red light district where he can go and release all his dirty, toxic excitements. And for the rest, and because of that, Billy is very polite and respectful towards people, and everyone says hi to him, and people feel comfortable. The moment, however, Billy realizes, hold on a minute, why am I like this? The moment Billy begins to question that selfhood, he's going to feel uncomfortable. He's going to be faced with the pain. And it may end up that Billy will lose it and he'll be overcome by darkness and it goes wrong. Or Billy has become born again already and now the Holy Spirit is working out all the pain out of him. Billy is renewing his mind and it's alright. But let's say that Billy becomes born again and his mind's renewed, he's free. Now the environment has identified Billy as a self. They have identified him with the compulsions he had and addictions. Now that Billy has become free, he's now developing his artistic skills. He's developing his writing skills. Now there's a whole he is developing and expanding, and everyone around him is going to think, "Is that Billy? No, it can't be Billy." And now here's the thing: those other people around, they also have their denied pain. It may not be that they were traumatized directly, but they saw traumatization happen to others, or they just faced danger, or they just realized their mortality. They have their selves also. And a self can only remain when it is validated through patterns and cycles by external validation. And Billy, being the weirdo he was a validation for the self of those other people. Once Billy has become new, their selves cannot exist anymore. They will have to change. They will have to adapt. And a lot of people don't want it. So when Billy has become free, he's born again now. Now people are fighting against him. Now people become aware of their own denied pain, and now they are acting out that pain against Billy. You see, Jesus said that when you want to follow him, you have to deny yourself, pick up your cross, and follow him. Another translation says, die to self. Now you understand what he's saying. Because the self is a fiction. The self is a prison. that you don't experience as a prison because you're unconscious. The Most High wants you to live and not be stuck in compulsions. Now, I'm warning you, being delivered from the self is not easy. And living free without the self is not going to be easy at all. You're going to be persecuted, you're going to receive a lot of attacks, you're going to encounter all of that. Nevertheless, that's the will of the Most High for you in Christ Jesus. That being said, you all be blessed.